Kirby has always been an immense source of joy for me. Between the charming aesthetics to the consistently solid gameplay mechanics, the pink puffball rarely ever disappoints. And it was over 2 years ago now when I had talked about the earliest Kirby adventures off of Kirby's Dream Collection on the Wii. You know, it's kinda crazy to think that it's already been that long. I say it's time for a return engagement. Today, I start a quest to talk about all the Kirby games that I have missed up until now, the most recent being only a few months old. I'm not gonna do all the games back to back. At that point, even I'll start to think that Kirby's getting oversaturated. Instead, I'm gonna do 3 now, the rest later. Sound good? So what say we get back into some more pink puffball goodness? Welcome to Kirby Marathon 2. Part 1. Sorta sounded better in the script. Kirby went through a bit of a dry period after his 64-bit adventure in the year 2000. Sure, it's not like no games were made after that. I mean, hell, Kirby Air Ride came out, and I already made a video on that gem, but nothing substantial in terms of the main series. Between the adventure remake on GBA and the anime, yeah, remember when Kirby had an anime, Foxbox represent, there was still some interest in the future of the franchise. Fast forward to 2004, we finally had a new game to sink our teeth into. Oddly enough, this is also the first platformer in the series to not primarily be handled by HAL. Instead, the game is mainly the product of Flagship, a subsidiary of Capcom that actually had a hand in a few of the portable Zelda games. Bet you didn't see that coming, now did ya? The result is easily the most unique platformer of all the games to be covered in this marathon, Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. The plot is simple. High above Dreamland exists a mirror world, and it is currently in danger due to a mysterious dark force. Meta Knight notices and flies off to save the mirror world. Meanwhile, Kirby is ambushed by a dark Meta Knight and ends up being sliced into 4 different colors. Completely devastated, and by that I mean, oh man, this is kinda cool. They chase after the Dark Star Warrior into the same mirror world, and the adventure begins. So, I just wrapped up talking about Kingdom Hearts 2, story and all, so to immediately go from that to a game with a plot as simple as this, oh, it feels really good. At first glance, well, this is certainly Kirby alright. The game uses the same engine as Nightmare in Dreamland, so it looks and plays practically the same. You start off in this cloudy area with your fellow Kirbys, and the only thing to really stand out is a new, albeit pretty small, instance of co-op, and a little bit of kissing. Teehee! After getting through the area, there is a scene with both Meta Knights fighting, and the real one actually loses and gets banished into the Shadow Realm. Or the mirror, it's close enough. It promptly gets destroyed and Dark Meta Knight runs away. Also Dark Kirby. That's a thing. Then, well, the world is open, and it is now up to you to restore the mirror. And when I say the world is open, well, I mean the world is open. In a total shift of direction, there are no individual stages to play through. Rather, you go into the first door and get presented by a bunch of branching pathways along your way, some leading to other levels. The game is just full-on open world. The beginning of the adventure is still kinda linear though. You travel to a typical grass area before taking a warp star to a castle, and in the castle you run across a switch opening up a new pathway from the hub world. A bit more progression, and after another path opening switch, you run into... totally not Wispy Woods here. Get back the first mirror shard and warp back to the main hub. The pathway that you unlocked then leads to a room that branches off into 2 opposite directions. You have a large map to explore and find secrets all at your own speed. As for the weird graphics, well, you can blame the Retron 5 being an emulation machine on that one. As a result, Amazing Mirror hits a strong blend of familiar with brand new. Being an open world, again, there are no order of stages to be cleared out. You can get to level 7 before 5. Areas also have multiple points of entry. There isn't just one door to get to a world and that's it. Really, it's kinda sort of an amplified version of Superstar's Great Cave Offensive. Still don't really get the whole offensive part. However, while the game is all about exploring, to say that you're constantly being rewarded for exploration isn't necessarily true. See, there are treasure chests scattered all over the place. Some offer up level maps, extra hearts, spray paint to change Kirby's color. That's kinda neat, I guess. but a lot of them simply offer up tracks for the music player or health, and there isn't really much of an indicator as to whether or not a chest will include something valuable. There are also a lot of paths that lead to pointless Warp Star games that give you just a few items and 1-ups, and force you back into the hub. Every time I make it to one of these things, it sucks. Obviously, it would be hard to have like 100 useful items in a game as simple as Kirby, but I can't help but feel like a lot of this is just padding. Luckily, most of the stuff is optional. As long as you find your way to the boss, whether or not you found the map, that's all that matters. The whole adventure does kinda start to blend together considering it is non-stop running through room after room, looking for chests, without a whole lot of memorable set pieces, but that's hardly a big complaint. There's the addition of co-op as well. Alongside you are 3 other Kirbys adventuring on different parts of the entire map by themselves. You may even run into them from time to time. For the most part, you're kinda fine on your own, but hey, what if you're caught in a bind? Well, give them all a ring on your brand new cell phone, and they drop whatever they're doing to show up and help out. As long as your phone still has some battery, of course. They're not really all that helpful when they're in the same room as you, but it's still kinda cool regardless. I mean, really now, when you think about it, you can call them wherever and whenever you want. Amazing Mirror? More like Kirby and the Amazing Cell service. That is impressive stuff. This also means that there is local multiplayer as well, where you and a buddy, or 3, could practically cut your playtime in half as you each go off to tackle different worlds and bosses at the same time. As long as you guys are, tethered by that link cable. I unfortunately have yet to play this with someone else, to be honest. The game simply just was never really brought up for multiplayer sessions, but it doesn't make the concept any less cool, and it is something that could be really awesome if done on consoles with online play. A new Kirby game on the NX, maybe? Honestly, the best part about the entire co-op concept is that the game is still perfectly enjoyable in single player. Now, anyone who has played more modern co-op based games like, say, Zelda Triforce Heroes, you know that's not always the case. Typically, your experience is weakened if you have no one else to play with. That's not the case here. As for the familiar stuff, well, sure, the structure of the adventure is different, but this is still Kirby through and through. Basic platforming, abilities all over the place, bosses that are a massive pushover with, well, any ability, and of course the iconic dance. Returning abilities have a few more moves as well, sort of harkening back to Superstar. Cook makes a return as well, and that one is just always entertaining. Enemies now sport life bars, which is a nice touch. Oh, hey man, that was messed up. What was I? Oh, it was just a prank. I got it. As for the new abilities, well, Magic gives you a random item, Mini just makes you tiny, Cupid lets you shoot arrows and fly incredibly slowly. Yeah, the new ones are not that good. But Missile is pretty cool, letting you fly through the air and explode on impact. And of course, I can't forget about Smash, which actually gives Kirby his moveset from, well, Smash Brothers. And who do you get that ability from? Well, Master Hand, of course. Hell, even Crazy Hand shows up. Coolest part of the game, by the way. Ironically enough, the Mirror ability is nowhere to be found. How did they screw that up? And naturally, in typical Kirby fashion, the game has a great soundtrack to match all of the bright and colorful locales. Despite reusing Nightmare in Dreamland assets, there are still plenty of original areas to explore, and it remains to be pure and simple fun. Also keeping in line with traditional Kirby, outside of the main adventure there are some sub-games to play as well. In Speed Eaters, it is a quick reflex test to gobble up some apples, and hopefully no bombs. It's a bit rude. I mean, you order apples, they give you bombs. Giving this restaurant a bad review. There's Crackety Hack, which is really just Megaton Punch. That's it. And finally, Kirby Wave Ride is a race on Warp Stars. Sorta similar to Nightmare in Dreamland's Air Grind, but hey, that was fun, so is this, it works out. Overall, solid trio of games. Time to wrap this game up. Eventually, the gang of Kirbys take out all of the bosses and restore the mirror to its unbroken self. Along the way, you also unlock an ability room that houses every single ability for easy access. So it's time to suit up and enter the mirror. Oh hey, it's Meta Knight. Oh hey, it's Meta Knight. Wait a minute! In presumably complete shock, this one goes pale, and we decide that he is worth defeating because of it. It's a pretty solid boss fight. I mean, it's almost identical to the Meta Knight fight from Nightmare in Dreamland, but I digress. Dark Meta Knight then shatters. That's rough. A portal opens up and sucks in the heroes, and the real Meta Knight throws in his sword for good measure. And now we have the main force behind all of this, Dark Mind. And I don't know, is it just me, or is it, like, kinda hard to take an evil threat like this seriously when he has no emotion and his arms are constantly crossed? You, for some reason, fight this damn thing 4 times before the evil core emerges. But first... look at that, you still got service in hell. That's incredible, really. Alright. Slashing, bing bang boom, it is a super easy fight. After the battle, everyone jumps on a warp star, and it is time for round 2. A top-down shooter. Okay. Surely this evil core has like a phase 3 or something after. Okay, that was literally like a half second between final hit and credits. Is that like a record? Imagine playing Ocarina of Time, right? You're really into it, Ganondorf's about to go down. Get ready for the splitting headache! After continuing to shoot the core throughout the credits, which I guess maybe that is phase 3? Dark Mind is finally destroyed, and peace has been restored to the Mirror World and will be maintained thanks to the good old Dark Kirby. Everyone returns home, and that ends Kirby and the Amazing Mirror. We're just gonna go ahead and leave Kirby split up into 4. I'm sure he'll be fine. Overall, Amazing Mirror is really good. All 100% get you is a boss rush mode, so there really is no reason to go for every collectible other than just doing it. But the fact that you're able to play this game in any order that you like is something the series hadn't really seen beforehand and hasn't been seen since. I mean, Nightmare in Dreamland is still the better of the two, but I digress. I would say we're starting off the Kirby Marathon pretty strong. Amazing Mirror isn't one of my favorite games in the series, but it's still really good, and at the time, it was just nice to finally have a new platformer to play in the series, and clearly Nintendo thought so as well, because Flagship would come back for the second and last time. Next time on the Kirby Marathon, we're going to talk about Kirby Squeak Squad. Is this going to be everything Amazing Mirror was and more? No. No, it's not. Spoilers. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed it, maybe subscribe to keep up with more Kirby videos in the near future, and a whole lot more. Squeak Squad should be out very soon, so look forward to that. But if you want more Kirby goodness right now, here's the video I did a few months ago on Kirby Air Ride, so go check that out. Or, if you're looking for something a little bit more low-key, I recently played through Nightmare in Dreamland on my Let's Play channel, so you can check that out as well. That being said, it's time for me to go. Bye-bye!